Breath powers your voice. Breath regulates your nervous system, and your breath sets the emotional temperature for your jury. Welcome to the Foster Your Voice podcast with me, Christy Foster. After a 30-year career in music and theater, I never imagined I'd be coaching trial attorneys. But once I entered your world, I quickly realized how critical and underutilized voice is in the courtroom. The truth is, you don't win trials with brute strength. You win with your voice. I'll give you tools to unlock your voice so you can communicate not just with purpose, but on purpose. If you want quick action tips to help you stay calm and in control, keep jurors engaged, and inspire your listeners to action, all through the power of your voice, you're in the right place. I'm Christy Foster, and I'm here to help you foster your voice. Hello, Foster fam. Hey, I hope you're enjoying these last days of summer. We're starting to get some cooler days and some light rain sprinkled in between the heat waves, which is really welcomed. I love Pacific Northwest fall time. So by now, the kids are back in school, and it seems like everyone's getting back into their fall routines and getting that all dialed in. I know I am too. And even though I don't have kids, all my years as a student and then as a teacher, I just still feel such a strong connection to school year calendaring. So, with all the activities and calendaring, inevitably comes the stress of being busy. And what I think is worse, the guilt of being busy. The life of a litigator is a full and busy life. And so often you don't have 100% control of your scheduling. It seems like the court just schedules willy-nilly. And then sometimes you have a defense counsel that just books a last minute depo without checking in with you. Just, total disregard for your calendar. Whatevs. So, yes, you are busy. And if you don't like being as busy as you are, then I encourage you to make some adjustments as far as you are able. Calendaring systems, delegating, hiring out. There are some options. But some folks just thrive more when they are booked to the hilt. And if you like what you do, it doesn't actually feel overwhelming, and not everyone understands that. When I was running a theater company, I was really busy. I worked with my staff in the office during the day, and then I visited class locations to connect with teachers and students multiple nights a week. And then I had rehearsals on the weekend, either personally directing shows or visiting other show rehearsals to deliver items, check in, help with training, etc. Now, friends of mine that had structured their life around a 9 to 5 schedule and had a job that they walked away from each day just did not and could not understand the rhythm of my life, nor could they be gracious for why I didn't have energy to be super social. The truth is, I just didn't want to be. I wanted to be doing all the theater things I was doing. Just because they didn't understand it didn't mean I was doing anything wrong. I didn't feel overworked or overwhelmed. They just thought that I should. So they judged me for being too busy. And then it was hard not to judge myself based on their assessment. So I guess I just want to say that if you are in agreement and in harmony with your primary relationships, your spouse or partner and your kids, then I just want to encourage you not to let others' voices have power over you. If you love being busy, love jet setting to depots, and your inner circle supports you in that love, then release the ignorant messages of those who don't have a weighted voice in your life. You have permission to enjoy living a busy life. Okay, rant over. Hey, real quick, if your jurors look confused when you say liability, standard of care, or damages, they're not tuning out because they don't care. They're tuning out because they don't speak law. I've put together a free guide called Top 20 Legal Terms to Avoid and What to Say Instead. It'll help you simplify your language without losing credibility, so your message actually lands. Download it now at fostervoicestudio.com/top20 or click the link in the show notes. All right, back to the episode. Today we're talking about one of the most powerful yet underappreciated tools you have in the courtroom: your breath. I know it sounds simple. You breathe all day long, every day, right? But here's the thing: how you breathe directly impacts your voice, your nervous system, and even your jury's ability to stay calm, focused, and receptive. Your breath doesn't just support and provide power for your words. In a lot of ways, it sets the energetic vibe or the emotional temperature of the whole room. So, how do you breathe? Let's just start with some of the mechanics. Now, your vocal cords are tiny. They're about the size of a dime or your thumbnail, and they sit right at the top of your airway. That means that any tension you carry in your chest, shoulders, or neck has a direct effect on their freedom to vibrate. If you're breathing high into your chest, relying on shallow inhales, you're actually tightening the very muscles that should be loose so your voice can resonate. So it's not surprising that you sometimes feel vocal strain, fatigue, and a tone that feels pressed instead of powerful. But when you can shift your breath lower, initiating with your abdominal muscles instead of your chest and shoulders, you not only free your throat, you create steady, sustainable power for your sound. But here's something even bigger at play: your nervous system. Breathing isn't just about oxygen intake, it's about regulation. Your autonomic nervous system, that's the one that manages stress and relaxation, it responds instantly to how you breathe. When your breathing is shallow and quick, you activate your sympathetic nervous system. That's your fight or flight. And that's great if you're running from danger, or even if you just need a burst of get up and go during your day. But it's not so great if you're trying to be less frenetic, when you're trying to get grounded and take command of the space. So, the good news: when you slow down your inhale and especially your exhale, you activate the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest or relaxation response. That's where you start to really step into leadership. That's when you get clear. That's when you feel in control. So, what I think is just a remarkable thing is that you get to be strategic about this, about your breathing. So, even though you breathe all day, every day, without having to think about every single breath, mercifully, thank you. But when you want to affect the energy of the room, when you want to feel grounded and resonant, you can absolutely accomplish this by taking your breath out of its autonomic function and do it strategically and purposefully. It's so cool. Okay, so now If you thought that was remarkable, the really fascinating part is that your breath doesn't just affect you, it affects everyone in the room. Your breathing is contagious. Now, humans are wired for something called physiological mirroring. We unconsciously sync with the breath and the body rhythms of the people we're watching. So if you're breathing shallow and fast, your jury will actually start mirroring that pattern. Their sympathetic nervous system revs up. They feel restless, on edge, less receptive. But if you're breathing slowly, visibly, with grounded ease, your jury starts to mirror that. They breathe deeper, their heart rate slows, their nervous system downshifts. And suddenly you've created a room that feels safer, steadier, and more open to what you have to say. This is how you help jurors settle in, process the information, and make thoughtful decisions. This is the state you want your jurors in, the state where calm thinking, empathy, and good decision making live. Your breath is leadership. Wild! Isn't that wild? So let's just put this into practical terms. Let's imagine that you're starting voir dire or Vordi or wherever you are in the country. You're nervous, understandably. Your heart rate is up. Maybe you've got a tight chest. Maybe your breathing is a little fast. If you push through without adjusting, jurors will pick up on that energy, whether they realize it or not. This is all happening on a subconscious level. But what if, before your first question, you pause? This can even start just as soon as you stand as the jury enters. This is a great time to establish yourself. Inhale deeply, expanding your belly. Exhale slowly, letting your shoulders drop. Hold steady, but not creepy, eye contact, and look pleasant. Lift your cheeks, but keep your breath low. Taking that intentional moment regulates you, but it also sets the tone for them. The jury feels the calm. They sense steadiness. They're more likely to meet your openness with their own. Now, let's just review this with a little brain science thrown in. Remember, we've all got these mirror neurons. These are the brain cells that fire when we see someone else act. This is where that physiological mirroring comes from. This is why yawns are contagious and why a smile makes you want to smile back. It compels you. And why your breathing patterns ripple out into your jury. We also have the vagus nerve that's involved. Now, it's the 10th cranial nerve that runs through your chest and abdomen across the top of your diaphragm. So, deep abdominal breathing stimulates and tones it. And when the vagus nerve is activated, the heart rate lowers, digestion improves, and the body signals we're safe. That sense of safety is the foundation for learning and decision making. So when you take that slow, steady breath, you're not just calming yourself. You are calming yourself, but not just. You're literally leading your jury's nervous system towards a better state for focus and thought. Very cool. Now, I will say that this intentional way of breathing, this low breath that's initiated from the abdominal muscles, it takes some practice. Okay? There are times that your body does it naturally, like when you sleep. But we want to be able to do it on purpose. And ideally, when you're not just lying down, right? You want to be able to do this while you're standing up. Very practical. So I always recommend practicing throughout your day, ideally in what I call transitional moments. These are moments that don't carry any weight or meaning, but you do them regularly. Now you can add intention to them and do what James Clear talks about in his book, habit stacking. Take something you already do as a habit and stack a new skill on top of it. So every time you close your car door, okay, you close your car door several times a day, take one deep belly breath with a long exhale. Every time you pick up a file in your office, do a long sigh before you open it. And eventually, every time you rise to speak, pause just long enough to breathe once, fully. These micro moments train your body to default towards calm, regulated breathing. So, here's the takeaway for today. Breath powers your voice. Breath regulates your nervous system. And your breath sets the emotional temperature for your jury. When you breathe shallow and fast, you pull everyone into tension. When you breathe deep and steady, you create a space where people can think, feel, and decide with clarity. Plus, you're able to think, feel, and decide with clarity. It's a win-win. So remember, you don't have to fill every moment with words. Sometimes the most powerful message you give your jury isn't spoken. It's modeled. It's the calm of your breath. So this week, I want you to practice. Not just for yourself, but for the room you're leading. Because when you breathe well, you don't just foster your own voice, you foster the environment where your jurors can truly hear your voice. Until next time, keep breathing steady and keep fostering your voice. Thanks for pulling up a seat with me today and for being part of the Foster fam. Make sure you're subscribed to the podcast so you don't miss a single episode. And while you're at it, go ahead and leave a review or a comment so I can give you a shout out on a future episode. During the week, you can find me on Instagram at Foster Voice Studio, where I'm dropping little nuggets of vocal technique and leadership wisdom. You can also join my mailing list by visiting fostervoicestudio.com or by clicking the link in the show notes. I'll send a weekly vocal tip every Tuesday directly to your inbox. Until then, keep fostering your voice.